Signing up to Library using this affiliate link really helps to support this channel, and it doesn't cost anything. Thanks to those who already have.
Good God, what a windbag.
But with regard to the main question at hand, in your experience with the Russian trying to involve themselves in our election, did you ever find any evidence, as the ranking member spoke of collusion while you were the director, did you find direct evidence of collusion between the Trump campaign and Putin in Moscow while you were there?
Mr. Rooney, I never was an FBI agent. I never was a prosecutor, so I really don't do evidence. I do intelligence throughout the course of my career. As an intelligence professional, what we try to do is to make sure that we provide all relevant information to the Bureau if there is an investigation underway that they are looking into criminal activity. As I mentioned in my opening statement, I was convinced in the summer that the Russians were trying to interfere in the election. And they were very aggressive. It was a multifaceted effort. And I wanted to make sure that we were able to expose as much of that as possible.
But was there intelligence that said that the Trump campaign was colluding with Moscow during their campaign?
There was intelligence that the Russian intelligence services were actively involved in this effort. And having been involved in many counterintelligence cases in the past, I know what the Russians try to do. They try to suborn individuals. And they try to get individuals, including U.S. persons, to act on their behalf, either wittingly.
This guy was a windbag, the one asking the question. And I always paint that out, especially nowadays, that when they're a windbag like that, they're trying to butter up this ugly question they want to ask. Please don't attack me. I'm just doing my job. So here we see Brennan trying to answer this question, and he verbally avoids it. And then he's asked again, and you start to see him dance. He's wiggling around in the chair because there is no definitive yes. And I'm noticing the same thing with him with Comey. He's brought nothing that he references. Comey would go in with absolutely nothing and say he can't recall. So when I see someone also come in with nothing, it gives them the out of, I don't have that information in front of me. I don't recall. And as we see here, an avoidance. And a lot of stress and dancing and trying to avoid.
Or unwittingly. And I was worried by a number of the contacts that the Russians had with U.S. persons. And so therefore, by the time I left office on January 20th, I had unresolved questions in my mind as to whether or not the Russians had been successful in getting U.S. persons involved in the campaign or not.
And there he goes into U.S. persons, and he kind of slouches down like it's like a dance move. It just kind of swirls around the whole body. Here, I'm going to throw something out. You interpret it as you like. And when you're looking for facts, this kind of shenanigan is inappropriate because I'm going to throw something at you. You interpret as you like, not a fact.
Work on their behalf, again, either in a witting or unwitting fashion. And so, therefore, I felt as though the FBI investigation was certainly well-founded and needed to look into those issues.
And then you sit there and see, he goes tight-lipped on it. You also hear as he's speaking, he's saying, feel, felt, feel my feelings. So we're in avoidance. We're dancing through it because it's causing stress. We're throwing stuff at you and telling you to interpret it. And we're using the word feelings a lot.
When you talk about, and I am running out of time, but hopefully I'll be able to circle back. Can you describe their capabilities beyond just propaganda and actual infiltrating, whether or not there was, you had intelligence to infiltrate the campaign with capabilities beyond just propaganda and beyond just reaching out or trying to influence the news or the campaign? And how long have we known about these type of capabilities?
There's a lot of intelligence that's been built up over the years about Russia's MO in terms of trying to gain influence in Western democracies. How they've been able to use individuals, they've been able to use politicians, political parties, they've been able to use elements within the media to try to make sure that their objectives are realized. And so, again, knowing what the Russian MO is and has been, including in elections in Europe, I certainly was concerned that they were practicing the same types of activities here in the United States. And that's why, as I said, we set up a group in late July.
Here we go. We have feelings again. There's an MO we know that they have, and my feeling is, or to quote it, I felt. I can say that his MO through this entire thing is I felt. Because for the first 5 minutes of watching this, that's all we've heard. I felt. My feelings. Their MO. The past. The past plus my feelings equals guilty.
That included the FBI and NSA. I wanted to make sure that every information and bit of intelligence that we had was shared with the Bureau so that they could take it. It was well beyond my mandate as director of CIA to follow on any of those leads that involved U.S. persons. But I made sure that anything that was involving U.S. persons, including anything involving the individuals involved in the Trump campaign, was shared with the Bureau.
You see that little movie does like a hard swallow, but his neck just goes back. So you see stress there. And that would be something we would see without having any knowledge. We go, there's meat there. We're not quite sure what it is, but we know there's meat there.
I wanted to follow up on a comment that I made in the opening statement, and that is with respect to a number of the allegations that have been made recently that the president or his aides may have sought to enlist the help of members of the IC or Director Comey himself to drop the Flynn investigation. Have any members of the IC shared with you their concerns that the president was attempting to enlist the help of people within the intelligence community to drop the Flynn investigation?
No, sir.
Are you aware of any efforts the president has made to enlist the support of intelligence community personnel to push back on a narrative involving the collusion issue that Mr. Rooney was asking about?
I am unaware of it.
I want to ask you about the allegations concerning the president's meetings in the White House, in the Oval Office with the Russians. First, what concerns you might have if the allegations are accurate about sharing information that we may have obtained from an intelligence partner. What impact do you think that might have on not only that partner, but other intelligence partners' willingness to share intelligence with the United States? But more than that, if you could also shed your insights on
Well, they don't really show him and talking about Brennan being asked the questions, which would be interesting to see. But it seems like every time we see him, the little flashes that we do, he's really adjusting himself and he's stretching out those muscles. When you're stressed and the stress is staying, you tend to tense up. And those muscles that are tense, you take opportunities to try and stretch them out because they get tired. And that's what we keep seeing with Brennan.
one other thing, and that is the Russians' reaction to that meeting was at least twofold. One was Vladimir Putin's offer to validate what happened in the Oval Office, to provide his own transcript of that meeting, but also the Russian publication of photographs from that meeting. The Russians had to understand that the publication of those photos would be harmful to the president, or the president would have invited American press into that meeting. What do you think motivated the Russians to publish those photos? What do you think motivated Putin to make a claim he knew would never be accepted, to provide their own transcript of that meeting? Is this just further efforts to weaken the president, disrupt our political process? How do you explain those events?
A lot of questions there, Mr. Schiff. The first point I'd like to make is that I shared classified information with the Russians while I was director of CIA. CIA, on a routine basis.
And he's turtling. He's brought himself in closed. His neck is going in. His shoulders have gone up. He's really stressed.
Shares classified information with Russians on terrorism matters. It doesn't mean that it becomes unclassified. It means that it retains the classification, but is releasable then to Russia or to other partners. So that in itself is not unprecedented. And I don't know what was shared or said in the Oval Office, but if the reports in the press are true that Mr. Trump decided to spontaneously share some intelligence with the Russians, I think he would have basically violated two protocols. And those two protocols are, one is that such intelligence, classified intelligence, is not shared with visiting foreign ministers or local ambassadors. It's shared through intelligence channels because it needs to be handled the right way, and it needs to make sure that it is not exposed. He didn't.
He turtles really big there. All in technicality, he's avoiding an out-and-out lie. It's either in avoidance, or he sticks with his feelings, or, my favorite, speculation. I'll speculate in area A because B is too close to the truth. And he knows he's doing this, and he's giving a lot of stress in this.
Do that if the press charges are accurate. Secondly, before sharing any classified intelligence with foreign partners, it needs to go back to the originating agency to make sure that the language in it is not even just providing the substance going to reveal sources and methods and compromise the future collection capability. So it
I'm watching him and see how tight he is, even with just his buddy. And you would think, buddy, their goals are the same, take down the president. So to sit there and see him so stressed in dealing with his buddy without knowing what has come about, I would say Brennan would crack very easily. He doesn't handle pressure and he doesn't handle the stress very well, especially when you have an ally who's giving you really softball questions. And what do you know? Brennan's already whistling Dixie. That is all we're going to do for this.
If you'd like to learn more about analysing body language, there is a video course available on Mandy's website for Gold subscribers, where Mandy teaches more about her techniques of deception detection. There's also other content such as the Crime series and Interesting Minds series, available to both Gold and Silver subscribers.
If you like it, please share and subscribe. Thanks for watching.